Hi everybody, it's Danielle with Time Crunch Couponing. It is, let's see, 8:45 on Friday night here, and this is what quarantine has done. I'm making my meals right now so that tomorrow it's supposed to be really nice weather where I am, so that I have tomorrow to just like spend the day outside. And I'm coming to you with another cooking video that is actually much more well prepared than my last one. So I kind of have everything you're going to need right in front of me. If you're a one pot pasta person, this is the video for you. This is such an easy recipe. I love this one. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make tomato basil pasta in one pot. It is so simple. I think you'll love it. So let's go ahead and get started. So the very first thing, and this recipe calls for, I haven't looked at the recipe in years. This is another one that I make all the time. There are a couple things here that just one that I can think of actually that I don't put in it. I should, but I just usually don't have it on hand, and it's spinach. I need to eat spinach, but I don't. I'm just letting you know, this recipe calls for roughly, usually I think about 12 ounces of pasta, which is, I think is about a box, and a spaghetti is what I'm making. So I have my one pot here. I'm just going to tell you what to include. Now, I don't usually measure my liquid. I just kind of eyeball it, and I can tell. I believe that the recipe used to say you want to use, I think it's 2 cups of chicken broth. I typically eyeball it, like I said, so I'll show you what the pot looks like when I'm done here. That was the end of one of my, that was actually chicken stock, but either one is fine. I just buy whatever's cheaper and what's available in the store. So I also cook a lot, so I'm a pretty good like eyeballer for things. Hopefully that's about the right amount. If it's not, you can always add more of this while you're cooking, and it's not a big deal at all. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and put pasta in. This is another thing I eyeball, guys. I do not measure out like how much pasta. Actually, a box of pasta might be 16 ounces now that I'm thinking about it. So I'm just gonna use what looks right. Of course, my hands are washed, guys. I really prepped for this one compared to my last cooking video. I got good responses from a few people about this, including someone that I know personally that I work with. So I thought I would go ahead and make another one since I'm going to be making this anyway for myself. I thought I would share the recipe with you guys. So 12 ounces of pasta, guys. I have no idea like what that actually looks like. So again, this is an eyeballer for me. I'm sorry if that's not particularly helpful to you. I'll have to see if I can hyperlink the actual recipe or not. I don't know if I even have access to it anymore. I can already tell, well, actually, let me go ahead and add this. I'm gonna put in 1 can of petite diced tomatoes. I think the original recipe called for regular diced tomatoes. I'm going out of camera range to get my can opener. But I like just doing the 1 can of diced tomatoes, and I like them petite because I don't like the humongous chunks when I'm eating. I need a new can opener. I prefer to do a little bit, I know the right way to use a can opener is actually like if you do this, right? But I've never done it that way, but I've heard that from so many people. My whole life I grew up like this, and I don't have an electric one. I do my hand can opener. So you just go ahead and add this in, and I will give you a little shot of what this looks like right now, and I actually am going to add more liquid, I can already tell. So here's what we're working with so far. So we've just got the chicken broth and the pasta and the tomatoes, and I can already tell I'm going to need to add a little bit more broth. So let me get you set up correctly. So I'm going to do that. I dropped a raw piece of pasta on the floor, and my dog just ate it, so there's that. Okay, you don't want to have too much liquid though, guys, because the sauce for this is made from that awesome like tomato chicken broth mixture, because this is going to end up simmering. I'm going to go ahead and kick the heat on. I'm going to kick it on to high while I'm adding the rest of the ingredients, because you want this to start heating up, and then we're eventually going to turn the heat down and let it simmer for a little bit and cook. So you can use any kind of oil. I don't have olive oil in my house right now, so I'm using up my vegetable oil. They're generally like, I don't know a time when they're not interchangeable. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this. You're supposed to add 2 tablespoons. This is another eyeballer for me. Okay. A couple more things that we're gonna toss in here, and then there's a bunch of spices that go in to make it good. I need to grab a spoon real quick, and I gotta cut up the rest of this. So let's do the onion first, actually. Do I have a cutting board that is clean? We're gonna cut on a plate, guys. Don't recommend, but it is what it is. And I'm gonna get a knife right here. Here we go. All right. As much white onion as you're feeling is right, everybody. I'm just gonna use up probably like the rest of, yeah, what looks good from this onion that I have. So go ahead and chop up some onion to put in here. My cutting techniques are in no way something that you should probably follow, but they work for me, so that's all that really matters. I hope everybody's had a good day today, good quarantine life. I took a walk, I spent some time outside, I read part of a book. I'm a high school English teacher, if you've never heard me say that before, so I really enjoy keeping up on like what my students would read, because I like to be able to make recommendations to them and help them become readers. So this is actually a ton of onion. I don't know if I'm going to use all of this. I read a lot of young adult novels, so I'm reading one right now. Actually, I am going to use it all. I'm reading one right now called Lies We Tell Ourselves. I don't know who the author is, and the book's not in this room. But it's about, I'm only about 100 pages in right now, but it's about my stuff's already starting to boil a little bit. I gotta stir this up. It is about it's set in the very late 1950s, and it's about integration in schools. And it tells the story of a black girl and a white girl, and I think in high school, and I think that it's interesting. I know for me, my own mom was alive and remembers when integration happened in schools, so I think that that's a really relevant, interesting topic. Okay, I just added the onion. Now we're going to go ahead, and I might actually have too much liquid. I might have overshot it, guys. We'll see. Yeah, I feel like I might have a little, well, we'll see. We're going to add a little bit of minced garlic now. This is another eyeballer for me. I usually do like however much I can fit on a fork. So gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add a little extra. Is anybody else a garlic maniac? I'm a garlic maniac. I love garlic. Okay, so there's that. And then I'll show you, that's all of the like hard ingredients that we're going to include. Now you could put spinach in here as well. You don't toss that in right now. You would toss that in closer to the end. I'm gonna go ahead and grab all of the spices that we want. So we've got pepper and my favorite, crushed red pepper, and garlic powder, and then the thing that makes this what it is, which would be our basil leaves. And the recipe, I think the original recipe calls for you to use real basil leaves. I don't. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and switch the camera angle so you can watch me put this stuff in and you can see what a total non-measurer I am. So here's what we've got going. So we're gonna go ahead and add the spices here, and then here's our basil. There we go. Once I have the spices put in, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what we need to do next for this to cook. We're gonna add a little pepper. And again, total non-measurer, guys. I have oregano as well. I don't even know if I said that I grabbed this. But I'm just gonna add a tiny bit because that's not the main ingredient here. Tiniest bit of garlic powder because we've already got, or not garlic powder, we want garlic salt. Duh. Because we've already got minced garlic, so we don't want to overdo it, but we do want to add a little bit of our garlic salt here. And I use garlic sea salt, I really like it. And then our crushed red pepper gives it a kick. If you don't like a kick and you're not a spicy person, leave this out and you'll have no issues with spice in this recipe because it's pretty mild. Okay, let's give it a stir. And kind of move the spaghetti around. I do cook with gluten-free spaghetti, so Here's the thing about if you don't ever cook with gluten-free pastas. They take slightly longer to cook, not like a terribly long amount of time more, but enough for a recipe like this that it's actually beneficial because you're making your sauce out of this and you need that to kind of marinate to make it correctly. And so having something that cooks longer is awesome because it gives it more time to soak it up. We're gonna go ahead and turn this down to about medium. I'm gonna grab over here the lid for this pot. There we go, and we're gonna cover it, and we're just gonna let this, we're gonna occasionally stir everybody, but we're gonna let this cook here for about like 10, usually takes anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes. I will let you know when I come back. Okay, everybody, I am back. Let me grab my fork. So I did take this off of the burner already. It's sitting on a burner that has not been on. This is what your final product should look like. I do want to let you know that from the beginning of starting to make this, I did end up adding probably about 2 cups of water to it in little chunks throughout it cooking, just to give it enough liquid to make that sauce. If you'll notice, there was no water in the original ingredients, but that's totally fine to add if you don't want to use chicken broth, or I just grab water because it's quick and it's right there at the sink. So, and that doesn't make a difference at all. It doesn't change really the flavoring or anything for you. Just dilutes it slightly. This is perfect though. This is exactly what you want it to look like. You've got like sort of a thin tomato sauce that's been made from this marinating on medium. And just kind of simmer in there. I did stir it occasionally. It's been about 20 minutes that it took it to cook actually, and that's because I had to keep adding a little bit of water, but I'm glad I did because it came out perfectly. So this is it. This is a really, really simple recipe. As you saw, there's like essentially no prep time. It's like 2 minutes of prep time and then like 20 minutes to cook, and you hardly have to do anything. You just occasionally need to come back over and stir it. So that is what we've got for this recipe. I hope that it was helpful to you and that this is something that will maybe make an easy quarantine meal for you yourself or you and your family, whoever. That is all that I have to share with you tonight. So as always, if you liked this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all of our friends. I usually say our couponing friends, but we're not couponing right now here on my channel. So isn't this ironic? I should have actually showed you guys. I just tossed it in the recycling. For the first time ever, my region got the All May coupons this week that came in the paper that was sitting on my porch. So, of course, the only time that I get the makeup coupons I want is when I'm not couponing. I just thought that was funny. I don't know why I didn't even think to save that for you right before I just tossed it. Anyway, that is what I have for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, wow. I hope you have a great night, everybody. I will talk to you very soon.